I'd like to show you how to dissolve polygons, in this case making a larger polygon from a subset of smaller polygons. Here I have a Minnesota counties data layer I downloaded from a MinGeo site. And I want to work with state data also. I want to have a state boundary. Maybe I want to display the state with the counties or a subset of counties in there, and I want the boundary to match exactly. Well, one way to do that is to dissolve all these separate counties into one state boundary that has the same outline. And you often do this when you want to subset or when you want to group. Sometimes you want to aggregate by regions, and you have statistics, and so you want to dissolve boundaries between regions. So I'm going to first modify this data layer, adding an attribute that I'll use as a dissolve variable. So the attributes basically serve as a guide or a key, and I'm going to call this my disvar, and I can keep it a whole number and give it a value of 1. And I'll say OK, and that disvar then has 1 in every entry for every county. Now this serves as my guide to the dissolve, because the dissolve function looks at any two adjacent counties, and if the variable that you're using as your dissolve index is the same on either side of the line, or on both sides of the line I should say, it will dissolve that line, that boundary between them, and join those polygons. So if I wanted to dissolve into various groups, I could give all the groups in one part of the state a value of 1, and in another part of the state a value of 2, and as long as they're adjacent, whenever there's a value that's the same, it will get rid of that line. Now in our case here, we're dissolving all of them, so I gave a 1 for everything. I want to go ahead and save those edits and stop editing, and then I will start the dissolve tool. So that's here in vector, in geoprocessing tools, dissolve. And I get a dialog that asks me what I want to dissolve, this boundary county, and then the dissolve field. And I'll choose the one that I just created and say OK. And then I'm going to create a temporary data layer. I could save it to some location, but I don't need to in this case. So I'll go ahead and run. And quick as that, it looks at the places where there's the same value, in this case all of them on both sides, and gives me this dissolved layer where there's just one polygon here, and we show basically then a perfect match in the exterior boundary. So that's the dissolve function.